Boom, shaka, laka boom. You've tuned in to the Free Range Human Show of Choice, your daily dose of reality radio. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I'm, of course, Clay Edwards. I am live here on 103.9 FM, WYAB. Broadcasting around the world, if you're out and about. I know we have some military guys that listen over in Kuwait and some of these other places out in the sandbox. Shout out to all of them. Thank you for what you do. You can do that on WYAB.com from coast to coast. If you can't remember that, just remember ClayEdwardsShow.com. And I got a listen live link up at the top that bounces you back to the WYAB stream. Podcast is always available. Just search Clay Edwards Show wherever you download podcasts, stream music, watch videos, and more. Quick programming note as far as that goes. YouTube is a tricky animal sometimes. They don't like some of my content, especially when we get into talking about elections and vaccines. So I've had to start a backup YouTube channel strictly for the radio show podcast upload there. My other channel, my big channel, the Save Jackson one, it's monetized. It helps pay my bills. The show don't get but about 100 downloads a day on YouTube. It's not worth losing my channel over. So anyway, I created a separate channel for that. Just search Clay Edwards Show. It's at Clay Edwards Show. It's that easy. Go to YouTube, boom. If it gets suspended, it gets suspended. I'm not out anything. My Save Jackson page has got almost 6,000 followers, which is a lot on YouTube. It's a different animal compared to social media. So anyway, just throwing that out there. I twisted his arm and got Mr. Matthew Bishop with the full story to sit in with me for a segment here this morning. If you're not listening to Matthew's show from 6A to 7A and you're up, it is the best local show on the dial, but it's not really a local show. It's a national show, but it just happens to be broadcast here locally. Matthew, tell people just a little bit about yourself real quick.
Yeah, so for people who don't know, of course, I host a full story on the right before you, Clay. Get to lead you in every morning.
Man, I'm so excited about having a local lead in.
Yeah, it's great. It's great to be right before your show. So we call it the full story. I've been a prosecutor for 7.5 years before I came back into radio. I was in radio beforehand, but really on the full story, we just I call it the full story. So I try to cover everything there. I try to go through the BS, essentially, get to the bottom of it. And before you can make an opinion, you got to know what you're talking about. And I think that's the big problem with a lot of people. They just jump to the thing. I just heard the CNN or that CBS newscast, and they said, oh, presidents can't be prosecuted. And they just talked about the new Supreme Court case. That's not what the Supreme Court case just said, right? They try to blow everything out of proportion, make it sound worse than what it is. So what are the facts? Let's actually look at those facts before we can come to an opinion, and then we can talk about that opinion and analyze it.
All right, so I'm glad you jumped straight in there.
Yeah.
Guys, 6A to 7A, do you have a podcast that can find your podcast anywhere?
Yeah, you can do it. It's all on the podcast, the full story. You can find all the podcasts. Regulatorsproductions.com is our website, but you can find it on all the podcast sites.
Cool. I'll be subscribing myself, even though I listen to it every morning coming in. It is like, finally, live and local from my drive from Brandon. Back to Trump stuff, because I think that's why I asked you to stay over here, because I was listening to you this morning. You were just hitting the nail on the head constantly. Both sides had a meltdown yesterday.
Say the least.
The left are losing their minds, and they're now saying Joe Biden can kill Trump. And I've even got links and quotes of people who said that he should.
Yeah.
And I think the right are overplaying the hand, thinking that somehow this is going to get the New York stuff thrown out, and it's going to prevent these things from going forward. I'm like, nothing's prevented them from pushing forward.
No.
I don't see that this does.
No.
Explain, what are you thinking here?
No.
Does this help Trump get out of any of this?
Well, like I said, is the case itself a win for Trump? Sure, right? It says that he is immune to certain things. The Fisher case said, hey, that some of those things on the Sarbanes-Oxley Act could not be prosecuted, or they can be prosecuted, but we have to limit it. But it's not going to stop these guys, right? From a legal standpoint, that's what we got to look at it. There's a legal standpoint, and then there's a political standpoint, right? Well, they've blown the legal stuff out of the water already, right? They don't care about what the law says.
Look at E. Jean Carroll stuff.
Yeah.
And then look at the case in the Stormy Daniels stuff.
Absolutely.
I mean, if y'all think they're going to play by the rules, you are widely mistaken.
No. And so, yeah, sure, it was a win for Trump and the Supreme Court, but it's not going to stop them. They're going to continue to do it. They don't care if they win, right? It's just getting him to court, causing him these problems. That's the political aspect of it. Again, you try to look at these people like they're responsible responsible prosecutors, but they're not, right? That's not why they're doing this. They're not doing this for justice. They're doing it to be able to, they know that Biden can't compete against Donald Trump. We saw it at the debate last week. Very evident, right? And they have to keep him busy. They have to keep him concerned about these things, and that's why they're doing it. And right now, they are too far in. They can't come back. Like, once you start prosecuting your president, there's no coming back from that. You know you have to win or to defeat him, or else you could very well end up in prison.
You know, I was thinking about it some last night. You know, Trump got 75 to 80 million votes, give or take, a little bit in the last election. Mm-hmm. Biden got allegedly 81 million votes. And all of Biden's stuff was anti-Trump. Right. The overwhelming majority was anti-Trump votes. It wasn't "I love Biden" votes.
Right.
And what that does, it's like marrying a hot chick that you don't love. Yeah. She's just hot.
Right.
You know, and like you get to walk into a room with her. Everybody sees you with her. She's hot.
Yeah.
But you know deep down you don't love her.
Right.
So like the second she becomes an addict or has a medical issue or whatever, where times get tough, it's easy to divorce yourself from that. Yep. Because there's not that bond there.
You're never sold on her to begin with.
Never sold on her to begin with. It was just the pretty date at the prom or whatever. I'm not comparing Joe Biden to her.
What are you talking about? You don't want to take Biden to the prom?
No. But just in this analogy, there's no real affection. There's no bond for Biden. So it's easy when he really ends up being as bad as we all told you he was going to be. Actually, I think he may be worse than what we even expected. It's easy to break away. I don't think Biden, or I don't think anybody that got on the bench right now, in 4 years, different story. But right now, I don't think there's a single person on that bench that is going to take 80 million votes to the polls.
No.
In November.
No.
I think Trump gets them all.
Yeah.
And me and Sean talked about this a little bit yesterday. I don't know I don't know why you would wait, other than the fact they're all scared to death they're going to go to jail. Yeah. Other than that, and I think that's driving most of this right here, is that they don't want to go to jail and they can't hide everything they've done.
No.
I think that's the only thing anyway. I just don't think you would waste one of your future stars of the party by sacrificing them to Trump.
And that's the thing with, like, I talk about Gavin Newsom quite a bit on my show, and to him, I was talking about he's the most dangerous person.
He is.
Probably the most dangerous person in the country.
I could argue the world.
Yeah. I mean, the guy he's smart. He knows how to be a good politician, but his policies are just straight up dangerous. And, he's always been talked about someone who could replace Biden, but I agree with what you're saying, is that they're not going to waste the Gavin Newsom on he's in reserve. They're waiting to pounce that guy when he's going to be the best availability for them. They're not going to waste him on Biden or what's going on.
He needs to go through the traditional means of politicking, campaigning, all the stuff that they do. And do it the right way, because you also don't want an asterisk. Well, I don't guess they probably don't care if he has an asterisk.
Yeah.
But I would think, just as a traditional politician that needs to win, this ain't House of Cards here.
Right.
You need to go win this dang thing.
Yeah.
The right way.
And that's how he'd want it too, right? I mean, the guy's full of himself like anybody else. He doesn't want an asterisk, as you were just saying, on his victory. But like I said, and right now, Biden's handlers, their regents, as I talked about yesterday, they're the ones who are currently in power, and they're trying everything they can. Yesterday Biden's family was blaming the people who prepared him for the debate for it. They cannot lose that grip on power. And there's going to be just this, I talked about it before, is that there's just going to be this massive bonfire in D.C. right after the election in November.
I saw it. You hit the nail on the head again. Yeah. It is. I mean, they're going to be burning everything. You're never going to. You were never going to be so aware that computers could burn the way they do.
Exactly. It's going to be just absolutely. I wish, I lived in D.C. for several years. I wish I could be there just to see that the day after the election, just like it was when Trump got elected the first time, the massive meltdown. But now it's not going to just be the meltdown. It's going to be, we have to destroy everything before he comes after us.
Look, I think I was telling my girlfriend or either Sean or one or the other.
Yeah.
They're the only two people I talk to. It seems like, I was saying that it's going to be the least peaceful transition of power we've ever seen. They think that it was crazy in 20, or 21, whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah,
I don't think that was a non-peaceful transition of power. I just think that was Trump and them trying to play the legal system out.
Right.
Because there were shenanigans.
That was the thing. That's always been the Democrats thing. If you question anything, you're a conspiracy theorist, you're, this crazy right-wing person, is like,
The big lie.
Exactly. But now, we just talked about this before the show, is like all these things that they were saying conspiracy and all this other stuff is starting to come true, And I wouldn't be surprised if one day they talk about the election again. It's like, hey, maybe there were some inconsistencies with that election that they should have looked into.
All right. So, like I said, I do YouTube videos or I put my show on YouTube, so on and so forth. Something that you were not allowed to mention for the longest time. I actually had to do even though they've changed the rule, I had to do a little refresher course the other day to make a strike go away from a video from last February. You can now say the election was stolen.
Yeah.
In 2020. They're not doing that because they want right-wingers to be able to talk about the 2020 election being stolen. They're prepping us because they're having to change their AI so left-wingers can say the election was stolen,
right.
And left-wing content creators can claim the election was stolen here in 24.
Yeah. Like I said, it's just crazy to me that, everybody who's on the fringe is now, the more things we start to learn, and that's what the Democrats do. They do this like double speak, 1984 kind of stuff is, don't believe, you're going to believe me or your lying eyes, right? Don't believe what you're seeing. We're going to tell you the truth. They kept doing that with Biden with, it's deep fakes. He's not really that way.
I was going to say, it was wide out in the open for everybody to see. And I watch a lot of different content creators, political analysts and whatnot every day during the day. And, one of the things they keep saying is that the left knew. The left didn't just find out that Biden was a dumpster fire.
Yeah, there's a whole New York Times article on it.
Exactly. The left didn't just find out. The media didn't just find out. They're freaking out because you just found out.
Yeah.
The normies.
Right.
Because I don't know. Frankly, I don't know who didn't know this. I mean, if you have a set of eyes, but there's a lot of people out there that aren't just plugged into the socket like we are.
Yeah.
That don't know.
Right. They're not looking at every single appearance that Biden's had for the last time. And I understand that, right? Sometimes we can lose that perspective of being in the media and always looking at it. But like I said, the debate was probably the first time that the majority of Americans
51 million people.
Yeah, they're like, holy crap. And then they start looking back. Yeah. And then they start looking back as like, man, Obama had to walk him off the stage and all this other stuff. They start looking at stuff. They start researching. It's like, no, this is a problem. And the biggest problem is the Democrats have been lying to their faces about it for so long.
It has, or they have, should I say. It's mind-boggling to me that we've gotten to this point, that they've been playing Weekend at Bernie's for 4 years now.
Yeah.
And people are just now waking up to see it.
Yeah, that's scary.
And they were so adamant last week, like Joe Scarborough.
Oh, yeah.
So adamant. Let me tell you, can't handle the truth. Like, first off, shut up. We've all seen that movie. You didn't just make that up. And then, a week later, dude, the second that debate ended, the NPC bots got their update, and boom, it was all the same thing. Joe's got to go.
Yeah.
The cover of Time the next day, everything. Yeah. Dude, they sent Biden into a figurative assassination, FBI. I'm not saying they got assassinated. They sent him out there on purpose. It was no mistake based on the date of the date of the debate and everything leading in. But and I say that though, but I've talked myself back off that some because I don't think they can replace him.
Well, I think right now, again, I think you have two factions, in the Democratic Party. You have the handlers / regents of Biden who currently have power, and then I think you have the ones that saw an opportunity for themselves to gain power. So I think that's probably what the kind of interaction you have right here. But they obviously, as you said, having that debate before the convention was very, very, very suspect. That's very unusual. It's never happened because he's not technically the presidential nominee yet. And that timing to me is very interesting. Exactly. Yeah.
Which is interesting. They're the presumed.
Right.
It's so weird going on because a couple of years when we first started this conversation, I'd say in 22 about Biden stepping down, maybe not running, being that bridge the gap, all those little fancy words that they were coming up with. Everybody just assumed that, okay, Kamala's going to be an issue. How do we step around Kamala? Now, that's not, she's going to fight.
Yeah.
But she ain't got a dog in the race.
No.
I don't think anybody's getting behind Kamala. None of the big donors are.
And that's the problem I think that's probably the biggest problem as well. They really have to kind of go behind Biden because is Kamala the answer? They know that she's going to be worse than Biden in any kind of polling. And she doesn't even know what's going on. And she's not even old. She's older, but she's not old. She's just an idiot. She just doesn't know what's going on. So it's like, we can't win with her. So we have to keep putting up Biden, because again, people like Gavin Newsom, they're real superstars. They're real people who could do some damage. They don't, that they want their own time. They want their own election.
Newsom, I don't understand Whitmer. I think she's a stark or even mad psychopath, but the lefties seem to love that.
Have they not seen how she handled COVID? That's what I like. Just look at how she handled COVID. Period.
Exactly. Well, same with Newsom.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a good point.
I mean, but I can at least Newsom is a lizard person.
Yeah.
And he will lie to you knowing he's lying to you, and he's convinced himself he's not lying by the time it comes out of his mouth.
Yeah.
I mean, it's admirable. Having sold cars for 12 years, I've worked with a lot of Newsom-like guys. Yeah. So it's admirable that he has read Grant Cardone's 10X rule and the closure survival guide and all these things, and those are the things he's regurgitating.
Right.
But I could see where he's appealing because he doesn't come across like a weak man.
No.
Like Biden and Trudeau and all of them, he comes across like he's got a little testosterone pumping through his veins, unlike any of those guys. So he's going to appeal to a certain segment of men. He's a good-looking guy.
Yeah,
he's going to appeal to women, but he's absolutely the worst or best, depending on your perception, politician in America right now.
Oh yeah. Well, I said I think he's an excellent politician, but his policies are just so. He'd ruin the country.
Look at California, the $20 minimum wage thing.
Yeah.
Legendary restaurants closing down. Screw it, we can't do it no more.
Yeah, just look at California. It's how it's ended up, so it's crazy.
Matthew, thank you for sitting in for a segment with me, man. I know you would bring some insight to this. Hopefully your numbers are getting bigger and bigger and bigger every day.
Yeah,
from 6 to 7 a.m. And we appreciate it.
Yep, thanks for having me.
Coming up next, I'll have Kingfish with Jackson Jambalaya. We're going to talk about some shenanigans going on over at Smithville Stadium. This is the Clay Edwards Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show, live here on WYAB. This segment brought to you by Boykin Contractors in Florence, Mississippi. They can do construction, roofing, remodeling, additions, repairs. They do it all over the metro area. Lots of satisfied and repeat customers. All you got to do is just go check out their social media pages and just look at them reviews on Google, Facebook, etc. Licensed, bonded, insured with the Mississippi Board of Contractors. Bryce Boykin, man, just a good old dude from down there in Florence, Mississippi. Operates his business from a Christ-centered perspective with honesty and integrity being the top three things. Christ, honesty, integrity. And, man, you can't go wrong with that. And I'm just going to tell you, when people put their name on their business, it just hits a little different for me. You can't change your name. You can't run from your name. You only got two things in this world. Them things and your name. And Mr. Boykin here puts his name on it. Give him a shout today. Just search Boykin Contractors, Florence, Mississippi. His number will pop up. Boom. There you go. All right, man, we got a special guest on the Mazda of Jackson phone line, Mr. Kingfish from JacksonJambalaya.com. Good morning, Kingfish.
Morning.
Appreciate you jumping up and doing this with me. Man,
I'm not jumped up. I'm laying flat on my back right now.
As I wish I was after only 5 hours sleep. All right, so great work with this Smithville Stadium stuff, man. I went back and I did watch the 10-minute clip on your YouTube channel yesterday of the city council meeting where they were discussing this. These are my words, not yours. I don't know how they get anything done down there based on that 10-minute video.
Can we say shuck and jive? Because that's what that was for 10 minutes. Shuck and jive.
Shuck and jive, man. It was absolutely mind-boggling, and it just encapsulates how business does or doesn't get done in Jackson, depending on your perspective.
Yep.
All right, so the Smithville stuff, a lot of money is being left on the table. This dude's, at least on paper, he's making a bunch of money off this parking contract, and he's not paying his rent. Well, not paying what was agreed in the initial lease. Bring people up to speed.
Yeah, here's the story, okay? Back in 19, we got Smithville sitting there basically empty, so the city council made a deal with Tim Bennett. He has a company called Cush Sports Group. So they gave him a lease, 10 years, 10-year lease. Is it 10 or 20? And then, 10-year lease, and you have 2 renewable 10-year terms on it. So he's going to have it a while. Now, the minimum rent now was $125,000 a year, or 20% of his marketing revenue. So that was like, for billboards, signs and stuff, whichever was greater, okay? So the minimum was $125,000, all right? Now, you're supposed to start paying that in October of 2020. He was also, now, for the audience, this is important. This is the one you remember. He was also supposed to get a $5 million performance bond and register and send a copy of it to the city, okay?
Tell people what a performance bond. Tell people what that is.
If he doesn't perform the contract, then they can recover against the insurance company. The city can.
Yeah, got it. We used to have to get the same thing when I would get a liquor license. We had to get a tax bond for like $5,000 in case we didn't pay our taxes. So, okay.
Yeah, I mean it covers the city, and he was supposed to get one for that. Okay, so he was also supposed to make $6 million of improvements the first year at Smith Wills. Okay, all right. So let's fast forward to now. We get to now, and I was curious. So I did an open records request and found out he's only paid a grand total of $32,500 since 2020. Yeah, that's it. Not $125,000 a year, just $32,500. That's it. So anyway, so you look at it going, wait, he should owe us at least $500,000. What's going on here? Well, what I've discovered yesterday with the city council, here's where it gets fun. Back in January, they had on the agenda, they amended the lease. They said, he can't make the payments. He's had problems, Basically, it hasn't worked out like he thought it would. So we're going to forgive $400,000 of the debt. We're going to write it down to only $100,000. He only has to pay it in 4 installments and through like 2026. So they gave him a huge break, wrote it down $400,000. And it was, when you watch that video, I mean, they were questioning it. And then when Brian Grizzell says, but remember, he's not charging JPS, the baseball teams, the high school baseball teams to use the field. So we're getting free baseball for the high school kids. And they all just swooned under it, I mean, so
they said we would have to build new fields and things for these kids to do.
Yeah, I mean, whatever happened to the bond issue, I mean, so anyway, so then they gave him his extension, and then here's where it gets really squirrely. There's 3 things. One, not one time did they ever ask about his performance bond. He ain't paying it. He's not paying his rent. Well, guess what? Go file a claim on his bond. I'm willing to bet he never got a bond, okay? I suspect, and this being Jackson, those people in whatever department didn't check on it, didn't keep up with it. I guarantee you he did not get a bond. You watch. Even though, and he was supposed to get one, that would have protected Jackson, all right? So we've got $500,000 on the table at least, which we need to fix traffic signals, our code enforcement officers, et cetera. And, $400,000 of that, the city council said, don't forget about it, So they never mentioned the bond or even try to file a claim on the bond. Instead, they just gave away $400,000 to the guy. Now, what's interesting, though, is he has not, according to the city, he has not made a payment all year. And the funny part is, remember what I said, he has to make 4 payments? Well, it said when the city council voted, when this amendment was approved, that he had to immediately make a payment, all right? Not next year, not next month, immediately. Here we are more than 6 months later, and he still hasn't made a payment, even with all this grift going to him, okay? Seriously.
Well, and he also, I know these are his words, not mine, because I heard him say it, he paid the cigar bar to close. Yeah. Like they worked out a deal that saw them get some money, and it closed. So some money's moving around over there. And
I'm glad you brought that up, because there's also something else going on here, folks, in the audience, which is he's saying, we're not making any money off of baseball. We haven't had enough events. Well, he's also subleasing that parking lot out to the VA, and according to the federal website, it's a 15-year, $5.6 million contract, which comes out to about $370,000 a year. So he's getting income off that thing. And here's another fact to consider. You ever heard the phrase omission of a material fact? You ever heard that before?
Yes.
Like if you make a contract, say I make a contract to buy your building, and you just conveniently leave out the fact it's full of termite damage, leave out the inspections for a moment, but termite damage and mold and all that stuff, and I go buy the building, that found it has all these structural problems and everything that you shouldn't have told me. And it was the material, because if I'd have known that, we'd either knocked down the price or I wouldn't have bought it. All right?
Correct.
So they didn't disclose that to the city. It not once came up in discussions in January. So the city council was ignorant of the fact that, because I talked to two of them, they had no clue that he was getting this kind of money off the VA lease. So he hasn't made a payment. He never got a performance bond, and he didn't tell the city about his little side hustle with the VA. But he's saying, please write off my $400,000, please. And there's also another quirk. A couple of my readers brought up. Go look at Article 4, Section 100 of the Mississippi State Constitution. Cities and counties, et cetera, if you remember, they can't forgive debt. They can't write down liabilities like that. They're not. Remember that over the water bills, how that came up? They said we can't just charge off or write off water debt. Remember that?
Yep.
Yeah. Now they're going to say, oh, well, in fact, they said, well, he made all these improvements, so we're going to call that an in-kind payment. He was supposed to make the improvements on the contract. That's separate. They can't do that.
Does anybody know what's other than painting it some god-awful colors, what improvements have been done? And I'm not saying none haven't. I haven't stepped foot in Smithfield Stadium in 20 years. Maybe they put turf down and done all this nice stuff.
Maybe they replaced the lighting. I mean, I couldn't tell you. I don't know.
So at minimum, if he was paying the $125,000 minimum lease per year, subtracted from the $370,000 parking contract, that's $245,000 a year kind of floating around out there, again, at minimum, and he didn't pay the rent, so it's actually more than that. I don't know what the operating costs are. I'm sure it's not cheap to run the electricity out there and to host all the high school games. But, look, man, this guy's not doing this because it's a charitable organization.
Nobody is.
You know, there's some money being made, and the bills aren't being paid.
Well, Pearl, he was involved with the deal with Pearl. Look at Pearl. I mean, he was probably responsible for this part, but, they got a bad bond deal out there in Pearl. They got the Braves, okay? They're still paying on those bonds. And, I mean, even, the revenue from all that was supposed to pay for it. The city of Pearl's paying for those bonds, okay? Or at least a good bit of them. And there was problems down there with the Biloxi Shuckers. He helped bring the Shuckers there. And the city wound up suing him for some squirrely stuff. I mean, so, it's just another example, city of Jackson. I mean, they don't do their due diligence. They don't keep up with things. And they give this guy a sweetheart deal, because that's what this is, a sweetheart deal. And when he can't pay, instead of trying to do something, if they've been doing their job, shouldn't even been an issue. Instead, they're trying to figure out every way possible to let this guy off the hook. And everybody voted, Stokes wasn't around, everybody voted for this crap except Ashley Foote. I mean, it's just, it goes past incompetence.
So what happens? I tell you what, can you stay on hold and do another segment?
Sure, go ahead.
Let's take a break real quick. We got Kingfish on the Mazda Jackson phone line talking Smithfield Stadium shenanigans. This is the Clay Edwards Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. Real quick before we get back to Kingfish there, this segment is going to be brought to you by Burgers, Blues, Barbecue. The Blue Plate lunch today over at the Flowwood location. Well, it's available at all three locations, downtown Madison, downtown Brandon, and, of course, the all-new Flowwood location right there in Dogwood, right in front of Dick's Sporting Goods. The Blue Plate is fried pork chops, and hamburger steak. Your sides are sweet potato casserole, lima beans, and mashed potatoes. Of course, if the Blue Plate ain't your thing, you can always try one of their world-famous hamburgers. The B3 Smash Burger is my favorite. Or create your own burger. And, of course, they got the B3 bowls, the chicken wraps, and you can turn any sandwich or burger into a lettuce wrap if you're trying to watch your figure, like I am. Anyway, burgersblues.com for more information. And, hey, don't forget, they can cater from 5 to 5,000 people, and they got multiple food trucks available for all your special events. Check them out online, burgersblues.com. All right, back to the Mazda of Jackson phone line. We got Kingfish with JacksonJambalaya.com here on the phone with us. Kingfish, thanks for staying on hold.
No problem. And by the way, you're on keto, so you're not touching any of that Blue Plate lunch special.
I know, but I like to think about it.
I'm sitting listening to you going, fried pork chop, mashed potatoes this, fried that. I'm going, he's not eating any of that.
I know. I can do like the hamburger steak and the lima beans, I think. But
yeah, I mean, you could sniff it if you want to.
I know it's why I don't go, because it's so hard to stick with it at lunchtime when I see all this country fried everything around me. It's like, I can't do it.
Tell me about it. I get my takeout lunch from Scrooge's, and I got to fight to tell them, do not put the cornbread in there. Just please leave it out, please, because I'll eat it.
I know. They're like, what bread would you like? All of them. I want all of them. That's the one I want. The Mexican cornbread, the roll, all of them. All right. Back to this. So look, man, my spidey senses just ring off the hook with this thing. It just screams like allegedly, maybe, sort of, somebody could be getting a kickback on this thing. Or is it just incompetence?
With this bunch, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I could see where somebody's taking something, or they're just so damn incompetent. I mean, they didn't bother to go check and see if he got a bond or not, like they should have. They didn't, try to go see if he was going to make a payment or not, what was going on here. They just let it slide for year after year after year, and the lease let them check the books on the whole operation. I mean, they were supposed to have an audit sent to the city every year, and I'm quite sure they never got one. They didn't check the books or anything. They just took everything at face value, and he just told them all this, and came up with the sob story. I can't make my payments. I've never made a single one, so blah blah blah. And they're like, okay, well we're getting free baseball for the kiddies in high school, so okay, no problem,
And what did they vote on yesterday? They voted to continue these shenanigans, right? That's what the point of that was.
I don't know. It's on the agenda for today.
Oh, is it? Oh, wait, the video from yesterday.
Ashby Foote has it on the agenda today as a discussion item. He wants to know basically what the hell's going on.
Okay, good. I watched that video thinking it was current. I'm sorry.
No, that was from January 18th.
Okay. That makes more sense. That makes more sense. Okay.
Yeah, what I included in my post, folks, was the discussion was about 10 minutes back in January. I recorded it, put it on my website so you could see for yourself, but it was just 10 minutes of shuck and drive. I mean, except for Ashby, nobody was asking any real questions. I mean, either they don't care, or most of them, honestly, they're not smart enough to ask the right questions. Is what it is.
I lean towards the not smart enough to ask the right questions.
I lean towards that, too.
And after having this conversation out loud,
there's at least 3 of them that are not.
After having this conversation out loud, I'm going to remove any shenanigans off the table, and I think this is just incompetence.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Aaron Banks and Angelique Lee are too dumb to know which questions to ask. I mean, they really are. Virgie Lindsay, I mean, she tries sometimes. Now, if her husband was sitting up there, believe me, he would know exactly what to ask, all right? But she likes to look like she's trying to do the right thing, but she caves pretty much every time, and she did on this. I mean, she was like, okay, well, I got my questions answered, and Stokes wasn't there. And Vernon, I was surprised Vernon didn't ask any tougher questions because he's better than that. And Grisello, he was the cheerleader. Make no mistake, he was the cheerleader. And I think he's kind of too dumb to ask the right questions, too, also. So make that 4.
Well, all right, my last question.
Sorry.
Well, my question for you is this. If the state takeover follows through and it goes into the state hands, does that null and void this lease, or is it?
No. It negates the lease. I suspect if the VA and state would work out some arrangement, I'm pretty sure they would. I mean, it's a good deal. It's a win-win for both sides. They have an interest, and if they're willing to pay the money, the state's not going to say no to taking money, right?
You cut the middleman out.
As far as the money owed, does that negate it? No.
Yeah, so the state
I mean,
the VA cut the
if it were me, I would say invalidate the whole amendment to the lease, and you haven't made a payment all year, and you didn't disclose that you were getting this much money from this. I would say, and by the way, it might be unconstitutional anyway. So that whole amendment back in January is null and void, and you owe us $500,000, or give us your bond so we can file a claim on it, And if that puts them in the poorhouse, oh, friggin' well,
Yeah, man, it just sets such a bad precedent to allow this kind of stuff to go on. Because then you allow for one person, then the next person renting some city-owned land does it, and it's just so on and so forth, and it just rolls downhill.
That's why the state constitution has a provision against it. And like I said, they're going to try to say, well, we considered his improvements he made to the stadium as in-kind payments, and well, the problem is the contract said he had to make those. You can't do that. Now the question is, can Shad or the AG make them enforce it? Can the Shad go in there and say, hey, look, you can't do this. This is an illegal contract. I mean, that's a good question. We're in new territory here. I don't know. But Shad, you want some good publicity? It'd be a good route good road to go down.
Even if you wanted to say, okay, 2020 was a debacle, we understand. We're gonna work something. We're gonna figure something out with 2020. You still got 5 other years that rent ain't been paid.
Well, 4 other years.
Four, yeah. So it's even if you wanted to work something out over the COVID year, and even in Jackson it was almost 2 years in 21, it still doesn't negate the amount of rent that ain't been paid, and the fact that
since day one.
When they redid this thing in January, there was money due on the spot, and we're 6 months later, and we still ain't got that money. The lease is void. Right. It's either pay it or go.
Yeah.
And I mean, I hate to sound like that because I do in my heart of hearts understand that it's we need a place for kids, for JPS to play ball, this, that, and the other. But that Jackson can't have nice things right now until Jackson has working things. Until you have working things, you don't get to have nice things.
Well, I mean, JPS needs place to play ball. Because you can't just say, okay, the high school kids can't play baseball now. They obviously need a place, but come on now. Building a couple of high school baseball stadiums isn't that hard or isn't that terribly expensive.
Run over to Level Woods. They got Forest Hill Ballpark. They got all these parks in place that need a good grass cutting, and go throw the dang ball out.
Yeah.
All right.
Spruce up the bleachers. Spruce a couple of high school ones. Make them really nice. But I mean, just because he's letting them play, the high school kids play there, doesn't mean you also give away $500,000 too. And like I said, that's $500,000 you could spend traffic signals. I mean, you could spend on code like blighted properties and all this crap.
Yep.
Code enforcement officers. I mean, there's plenty of things we could spend it on.
Yeah, the mayor's criminal defense fund. Who knows? All right, brother.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that next week. Kingfish, have a great 4th. Thank you for jumping on, brother.
It ain't 4th. It's Independence Day. Remember that. Everybody calls it the 4th. No, it's Independence Day.
Good call there.
Do we say Happy 25th of December or Merry 25th of December? No, we don't.
Very valid point. I need to get a cup from you too. I saw them; they look good.
All right, thanks, Chief.
All right, brother.
Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Kingfish, Jackson Jambalaya. There's only one. There's only one Kingfish, and there's only one Clay Edwards, and we'll be right back with more of him. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. Guys, we're coming up on our top of the hour break. When we come back, lots of new laws took place, became official in Mississippi yesterday. I want to talk about some of that. And I want to talk about a rant that I need to get off my chest about people saying that what's going on with Joe Biden right now is elder abuse. I'm offended that y'all would call being the most pampered princess in the world elder abuse. It ain't elder abuse. I'll save my rant for the next hour. We'll start the hour with it. We're going to take a big, deep dive into what elder abuse is and what Joe Biden is doing. We'll be right back. Let me talk to the men out there listening real quick. Guys, are you suffering from erectile dysfunction, fatigue, decreased muscle tone, lack of energy, low libido, brain fog, sleep disturbances? Hey, low libido, ask your girlfriend or wife. She'll let you know if you're suffering from that or not. That's sex drive. If you'll text my name, Clay, in all caps to 601-327-8550, 601-327-8550, Men's Health of Mississippi and the Clay Edwards Show are going to hook you up with a free testosterone screening. They're located in Madison, Mississippi at 120 Fountains Boulevard. You can check them out online, menshealthms.com. But one more time, text my name, all caps, Clay, to 601-327-8550 and get your free testosterone screening scheduled today. Enjoy the rest of this show. Boom goes the dynamite. It's hour 2 of the most incendiary show on the radio. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I'm, of course, Clay Edwards, live here on 103.9 FM, WYAB. This segment brought to you by our friends over at Auto Trim Designs. Right over there, Highway 80 in Pearl. Man, they've been there for as long as I've had a driver's license, which is sadly approaching 30 years. Hooey, man, where does time go? Anyway, are you looking to give your vehicle a makeover that turns heads everywhere you go? Well, look no further than Auto Trim Designs on Highway 80 right there in Pearl, just west of JD Byrider, or I guess as it's known now, Byrider. From sleek and stylish vehicle striping as well as custom graphics and window tinting, Auto Trim Designs is for automotive enhancement. You can always tell when I'm reading these things and I trip up on a word. Look, man, I can read this ad. I can just tell you some of the best window tinters around. My buddy Greg been doing it for, again, probably 30 years. He's right there at Auto Trim Design. Greg Davis, good, solid individuals. You're going to have great conversation, get great work done. They got you covered. They use Lumar film for all your window tinting. They use Expel for all of your paint protection film. It's kind of like clear coat for your clear coat, so to say. Definitely you need it around here with all the rocks and pecks and stuff on the road. Check them out. Auto Trim Design, autotrimdesigns.com. autotrimdesigns.com. Sell a bunch of accessories and all that stuff as well. I think they do custom stickers and everything, so they can get you rolling, man. They do offer a lot of different options for your vehicles there. And again, you don't get to be in business for 30 years and be bad at what you do. These guys are great at what they do. Give them a spin if you're there in Pearl, or if you're going to be coming through the area. Stop by, check them out, shake their hands, tell them you heard them on the Clay Edwards Show. All right. Good first hour there. I'm going to jump straight in. Man, y'all grinding my gears. Grinding my gears when I keep seeing everybody talk about what's going on with Joe Biden is elder abuse. It's elder abuse. No, elder abuse is your elderly parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, you depending on how old you are, being stuck up in a dang nursing home facility, whatever you want to call it, stuck in bed, bed sores, starving to death, no bath, while Nurse Ratched is in charge of you. That's elder abuse. Being slowly murdered while you die of old age. That's elder abuse. Joe Biden is a pampered princess. The most powerful, pampered, bubble-wrapped man on this earth. He even has people that wipe his boobie up when he poo-poos in his pants. He's got a full-blown security team everywhere he goes. Gets to fly in private jets, Air Force One, Marine One. Has multiple homes. Gets to do meth every day, allegedly. That's not elder abuse. He signed up for that job. He's always wanted that job. He was just a little old and dementia riddled when he got the job. It happens like that sometimes. Sometimes you finally get that job you wanted when you're past your prime. It's a great example of that if we're going to sit here and pretend that the 2020 wasn't stolen and all that stuff, just for the sake of conversation. He wanted that job. He does not want to step down from that job. A decision was beyond made about 2 years ago that he was going to run for re-election. He was not going to be a bridge the gap guy. He had no intentions on bringing up the next generation of young Democrats. It's not elder abuse. It's actually younger abuse, what he's doing to the future stars of the Democrat Party. So there's no elder abuse involved here. He's a piece of crap human being. He's probably going to try to kill Donald Trump and say that it was under his official doings. I had to kill him to save democracy. What they're doing to Donald Trump, however, that's elder abuse. Trying to take that man out from his family, out from his life of the lifestyles of the rich and famous, and put him in prison because he hurt your feelings. I mean, are some of y'all just allergic to testosterone? I really think that's what it is. You guys that don't like Donald Trump and somehow like Biden or like Pete Buttigieg or any of this other rainbow supremacist nonsense, are y'all just allergic to testosterone? Is that what it is? You see a man that other dudes look up to, aspire to be, and you think to yourself, I don't like that. I don't like that. I'm just convinced that it has something to do with growing up in a house without a man around or no male influence in your life. Like the only influence you had in your life was your mama and them and your mama's special friend. You're way too feminine for me. Too much femininity. I want my women to be feminine. I don't want men around me to be feminine. But back to the topic at hand. What's going on with Joe Biden is not elder abuse. So stop it with that. Stop it. That's what the Democrats want you to say. It's not elder abuse. Joe Biden is an evil, evil man who's done a lot of people dirty, caused no less than about 20 military people their lives because of terrible decisions by weak men. It's not elder abuse. That's offensive. That's like people who say drug abuse is addiction, that addiction is a disease. It's not a disease. It's not. You made a choice. You made a choice to be an addict. You made a choice to be an alcoholic. People with real diseases like cancer overwhelmingly did not make a decision that played into them getting cancer, with the exception of smoking and cirrhosis. Quit getting it confused. Quit being such a bleeding heart. You know, I said this on Facebook last night. The same people running around here screaming, oh my gosh, this is elder abuse, are the same people that pull up to red lights and give bums money instead of telling them, hey, bum, quit smoking crack and get a damn job. It ain't going to matter who the president is if some of y'all don't harden the hell up. Hard men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create hard times. Do y'all know where we're at in that timeline? We're currently in the soft men create hard times part. All you soy, zero testosterone, weak feminine men have brought hard times down on dusty roads. Y'all brought hard times down on America, on Clay Edwards. But men like me, we're fighting back. We're about to bring back the good times. But we hadn't hit rock bottom yet. There's going to have to be a clearing of the deck. It's coming. It's coming November 5th. There's going to be a clearing of the deck. But we're going to play a little 52-card pickup. Survival of the sickest. I want y'all to enjoy this 4th of July. Independence Day, as Kingfish says. I've been telling you this for the last year. You guys, girls out there, I'm not Nostradamus, but man, I've been right a lot here lately. You just pick whatever the craziest thing is, whatever the craziest option is, pick it. That's probably the most likely outcome at this phase of the game, of the simulation that we're living in. Regardless of who wins that election in November, the other half of the country is not going to accept it. As a Trump supporter, there's no way in my mind I can rationalize anybody would vote for Joe Biden, especially with the mainstream media turned against him. And a lot of people are going to, and if Biden somehow comes out ahead, people are not going to accept that. January 6th is going to look like a tea party in your daughter's bedroom if Biden somehow wins. If Trump wins, the other side, they're going to lose their minds. I mean, they already showed us what they could do during the BLM riots of 2020. Now take that and magnify it across the country. And they're not fighting because they love Biden. They're fighting because they hate Trump, and they've been brainwashed by the media to believe that Trump is some Hitler Putin. They're going to line them all up, send them to the ovens. That's what we think y'all are going to do to us, too. So therein lies the problem. We're all fighting for our existential survival. Say all that to say this. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I hope you're as ready as I am. Enjoy these next few months of normality. Because between November 5th and January 20th, what's that little saying in the intro to the show? May the times you live in be interesting. We've accomplished that. We've accomplished that. Let's take a break, come back. I want to get into a bunch of new laws and some other stuff. AOC seems to think that we should impeach the Supreme Court over the presidential immunity stuff. We're going to read some of the left's reaction. They're calling for Joe Biden to assassinate Donald Trump. And they call us the crazy ones. They call us the cult. The Guns and Gear text line, 769-241-1944. Mazda Jackson phone line if you want to call in, 601-879-0002. We'll be right back on the Clay Edwards Show. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. Hey, guys. Johnny's Pizza House, Louisiana Pizza House, right over there in Gluckstadt. I'm very well on the verge of saying to Hades with this ketosis and go on a pizza eating binge. Little dirty secret, I did do just that Saturday out by the pool. We ate pizza. Tried to order the keto crust one, but for some reason you couldn't order that on the to-go menu. Strange. Anyway, Johnny's Pizza House, man, if you were hungry today, you're out in the Madison County area, heck, even if you're not, drive out there. It's worth the drive. Check out some of the great lunch specials. Johnny's is a slice of right from the heart of Louisiana. Just a great place to get a slice of pizza and a slice of Louisiana life. But look, man, some prices that have blown my mind. You know, you see all these headlines everywhere about McDonald's charging $15 and $20 for Big Mac Happy Meals or to-go meals or whatever. It's mind-boggling how expensive fast food has gotten. You're really paying for that convenience now. It ain't just killing you. It's also costing you a lot to kill yourself. Not at Johnny's Pizza. You can get any 8-inch, single topping pizza or pizza bowl, if you're on ketosis, $6.99 with a drink. You can get a specialty pizza, 8-inch, and a medium drink, or again, you can convert it to a pizza bowl without the crust for only $9.49. And their version of the Supreme, it's called Sweep the Kitchen. You can get an 8-inch medium drink for only $9.49. And if you're really balling on a budget, if you're really balling on a budget, if you miss the days that $5 was gas money and you can go get a foot-long sub for $5, Johnny's Pizza House to the rescue. For only $5.99, you can get a muffaletta sandwich with chips and a drink. Check them out today right there in Gluckstadt, located directly in front of the Mack Hike dealerships. Of course, they're available for delivery and carry out, and, of course, dine-in. Johnny's Pizza House. All right. Let's read a few of your text messages real quick. I do appreciate you guys chiming in. Reagankin says, Clay, I'm not looking for the re-election of Trump to prevent the destruction of America. I'm looking for the Trump re-election to give us a pause in the destruction of America. America is not on the ascension. We are still a great country. We are no longer a good country. Here's what I think happens. Trump wins. Trump gets the most votes. Whether he wins or not, I guess, is debatable. But let's play this out for the sake of having some hopium. Because if we don't have some hopium, what's the point in doing this? Real talk. You know, if we're just sitting here to rattle cages and sell advertising and, you know, have fun, yeah, that's one thing. That's not what I do this for. I can assure you, I have more feasible ways of making money if I chose not to do this. I do this because this is what God put on me to do. Now, there's days that we get a little ungodly around here and we say off-the-wall things, and that's just part of it. When you talk for 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, and you make a ton of content, you're going to say something stupid every now and then or every day. So let's have a little hopium and at least suspend disbelief for a minute and think that we're on the right track. And we are. We are on the right track. When I set out to do this, I set out to do two things. And I know that I'm not single-handedly responsible for either one of these things. I'm going to make sure I put that out there. But I want to feel like I was a little small, just a little small piece of the puzzle. I wanted to get us to a new president, not named Joe Biden and not a Democrat. And I wanted to see us through to Jackson getting on the right track. A new mayor, or getting rid of Chokwe and Tarleton. I wanted to see Chokwe go to jail. We're very close to both of these things happening. Since I started this radio show, the Capitol Police and the expansion of the CCID has been created. It's now been expanded. Hey, by the way, Capitol Police, you know who they just hired? One of the last legendary outlaw lawmen, Dean Scott. Dean Scott is back in Jackson as a lieutenant for the Capitol Police. You want to talk about let some little Talibanian thug fafo? I can't wait. I can't wait for the first one that fafos with Dean Scott. So if you don't live in Jackson or you're not in and out of Jackson enough, or you're not as plugged in, good things are happening in Jackson thanks to the CCID and the Capitol Police and what our legislators and our governor did. I almost forgive Tate. Well, I don't want to say forgive. It almost balances out for me on the Tate really screwed up during COVID, but he made up for it here scales. But I can never quite forgive him for what he did in COVID. But I do love what he's done in Jackson. So Jackson is going in, I wouldn't say the right direction, but a much better direction. And here in the next few weeks, we should find out if Chokwe gets a federal indictment or not. Also, I think we're very close to getting a new president. So I got a little off track there, throwing a Jackson curveball in the middle of that. Back to our hopium thing and about the president. I think Trump wins. Back to Reagan's comment. Trump wins. The left tries to burn the country down. And then we rebuild from those ashes. Because inevitably, they're going to wake up a beast. And there's going to end up being a bit of a purge, so to say. I wouldn't call it a civil war. More of a purge. Because at the end of the day, it's not two militaries fighting each other. So this concept of civil war is incorrect. It's urban warfare. Because let's just be honest, whoever has control of the military wins the Civil War. Yeah, I mean, just at the end of the day, the man with the biggest toys wins. And in this modern era of drone warfare, we're not going to beat our government. I mean, all they got to do is talk one or two drone pilots into not leaving the reservation, or they could probably run the drones with AI now and just kill all of us. So, food for thought there. But there's not a whole lot of upside to that for them. I mean, you can't kill all your slaves, then you have to do the work. They still need us to, at least on paper, to generate tax money for them so they can do what they do. Anyway, so I think we bottom out between November 5th and January 20th. And then I think we rebuild this thing like it's 1776. You get a fresh slate. We round up all the Democrats. We get them in some re-education camps. I mean, that's what they want to do to us. They say it all the time. There's a guy running for mayor of Jackson. I don't even remember the idiot's name, but I saw his name popped up. He's running for mayor of Jackson. I look on his Facebook page, and a post from a couple years ago said here how he was having to explain to his daughter why Donald Trump was president, and just said that, all us Trump supporters needed a re-education. That's what they think of us. They think we're stupid because we voted for Trump, because we just don't see the light. We just don't see it their way. Even though they can't point to one situation where with them in charge, anything has ever gotten any better. How when Democrats were in charge, things only got worse. Things only got more expensive. Not with Republicans. Gas is cheap. Life is good. Girls are prettier. Food tastes better. Sun shines brighter. Air conditioning works better. Anyway. So have a little hopium. But I'm just telling you, man, enjoy these holidays. Make sure don't just take it for granted. Don't let it just be another Independence Day. 4th of July, whatever you want to call it. This fall, football gets started back up. If you like football, enjoy football. Don't let the politics of the past stop you from enjoying it. Whatever it is you enjoy, don't let the left take that joy from you. That's what I've been having to teach myself a little bit. I'm not going to let the left, the Marxists, the black racists, the rainbow supremacists, I'm not going to let them hijack things I enjoy. And me just say, I'm not going to watch it no more because they got a different opinion. That's what they want. I'm not going to give them that. I'm not going to let them own the marketplace of ideas. I'm going to shove my thoughts and opinions and my beliefs down their throats just like they have mine. It's taken me a little while to come to this realization. But anyway, enjoy it, man, because if this thing goes to hell in a handbasket because one side or the other doesn't accept these election results, it could be the last little stretch of normal we have for a while. I mean, that might do us some good in the long run, but short-term pain for long-term gain. Guns and Gear text line, 769-241-1944. Mazda Jackson phone line, 601-879-0002. Let's read a couple of your texts before we go to break real quick. Josh, always good to hear from Josh. We need to get together and grab lunch soon, brother. Says July 4th, or 4th of July, is also when Vicksburg surrendered to the Union siege during the Civil War. Sane fighting the insane. Unknown texter. If Trump is reelected, the left is going to go berserk like they did in 2020 with riots. I agree 100%. Unknown texter. People must have forgotten how everyone wanted to be rich and famous like Trump. Hell, They used to sing about main song that comes to mind. They used to sing about it. The main song that comes to mind is Mac Miller, Donald Trump, bunch of dang snowflakes. It is always perplexing to me how Trump went from being a pop culture icon to the second he came down that gold escalator with the most beautiful first lady in history, 10 times more beautiful than Kennedy, 10 times more beautiful. Yeah, I mean, Melania is a smoke show. Anyway, Richard, shout out to Richard Hammock, says congratulations to Dean Scott, new lieutenant of the Capitol Police. Yeah, I made a video about it. It's on my YouTube channel. I shared it to my Facebook page and everything. You can go check it out. I kind of stumbled across it as I was making a video about the expansion of the CCID. I was like, wait, Dean's is in Jackson now? So we're trying to change the whole the second half of the video is about Dean. So always welcome to have a real lawman join a real law enforcement agency. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what Dean does with Capitol Police. If you live in Jackson, if you live in that CCID and you're a law-abiding citizen, I'm telling you what, you woke up this morning to a safer Jackson with Dean Scott on the beat. Let's take a break. This is the Clay Edwards Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Clay Edwards Show. This segment brought to you by Watkins Construction and Roofing, your hometown roof repair specialist, the largest roofing company in Mississippi, I do believe. WatkinsConstructionInc.com. WatkinsConstructionInc.com. Look, guys, I could do a whole fancy ad read, or I could tell you, check out some of their 500, 600 plus 5-star Google and Facebook reviews. Phenomenal work. It's real simple. They're going to come out. You're going to reach out to them. You're going to let them know you think you got a problem, or you know you got a problem. They're going to come out. They're going to do a complimentary roof inspection. They're going to let you know if you got a small little section that just needs a little patchwork, or if you're going to need a whole roof. They're not trying to upsell you. Their business model is not dependent on upselling you from a simple fix to a full roof. They don't have to do that. That's why they are the biggest in the States, because they do right by people. They take care of people. They're going to work with your insurance company. They're going to be in constant communication with you the entire step of the way. You're not going to have to wonder what's going on. You're going to have a contact there that's going to keep you in the loop, whether it be by phone, text, email, whatever. And anytime there's an update, you're going to be made aware of it. They're going to answer all your questions. When they're on site, they're going to be very, very professional. I got several friends that work for them on both sides. Project managers, roofers, and then, of course, the owner, his team, the sales guys. These are just really good, all local folks. They're going to take care of you. When they're on site, they're not going to be playing all that bumpity bump, bump, bump music. You're never even going to know they're there unless you're in the house and hear them working on the roof. They're going to take care of your landscaping. They're going to be professional. They're going to clean up after themselves. All you're going to know is you came home to a new roof. They've handled everything. That's WatkinsConstructionInc.com. Good folks, man. Real, real good folks. I used to work with them. Used to share a building with them. I know them well. Very, very excited when they came on the show because I'm not shooting from the hip here. I'm not reading a script. I'm telling you what I know personally about these people, about Michael Deere, the boss man over there. He doesn't accept anything but the best and 100% effort. I don't know that I could ever work for Michael. I don't always give it 100%. Anyway, I'm kidding. But to be great, you have to expect great, and you have to try to get great out of your folks. He'd actually be a great person to go work for. I'm telling you, whenever he decides to hang up the boots and not do this anymore, he's the kind of guy that's going to be able to write a book about motivation and business and how to take a business and take it to the next level. Going to be very, very good stuff there. All right, that's WatkinsConstructionInc.com. I could talk about those guys all day, and I know that's not what you're tuned in for, but just keep them in mind when you need some roof work done. Big storm potentially heading our way, so you may want to put that number on speed dial. All right, man, the left have lost their ever-loving minds. Trump has broken the left, completely broken them, dropped their testosterone levels to negative numbers. I don't even think Men's Health in Mississippi could help these boys. I don't even think they could. I don't think there's an amount of testosterone on this planet that could help save the left. Just my personal opinion. I'm not a medical professional. But so since the Supreme Court decision came down yesterday about immunity, I got to thinking about it because they were all screaming, "Our democracy! Trump's going to kill somebody. Trump's going to kill his enemies. Trump's going to kill his SEAL Team 6." The first thing that came to my mind was, before I ever saw any of the left's reactions, was, oh, hell, they're going to kill Donald Trump. And they're going to say it's because he was a threat to their democracy. Democracy. You notice they say democracy the same way they say the Confederacy? That's really what they mean. Anyway, let's read a few of their replies here. This is from the, air quotes, our democracy crowd, calling for Biden to assassinate Donald Trump. And keep in mind, some of these people are paid influencers. So they're basically surrogates for Biden. The Biden campaign have paid these people to pimp them, to promote them, to push them. And I mean, it's absolutely disgusting. And that's when I tell y'all, don't ever bend to these people. These people want to kill you. They want to see you dead. They want our Lord and Savior Donald Trump dead. You don't negotiate with these kind of people. You punch them in the damn face. Punch them in the face. We're way past negotiating. We're way past trying to meet in the middle. I ain't meeting in the middle. The only thing I'm meeting in the middle to do is fight you. Let's read a few of these. This is from Aaron Rapar. Says, so if Joe Biden declared today that November's election is canceled and ordered the military to keep him in power, would that be an official act? They're deflecting. They're telling you what they want. I'm telling you, these are going to be the things that happen in November. Y'all need to buckle up. You need to be getting your MREs. You need to be stockpiling bottled water. You need to be out at Guns and Gear, stockpiling bullets, gun cleaning things, guns, all this stuff. I'm not being hyperbolic here. When the left tells you what they're going to do, what they want to do, believe them. I hate the left, but one thing they do is they execute their plans. They execute their crazy. Name something some crazy thing they wanted to do that they hadn't accomplished. Dash Dabrowski says, I strongly encourage Joe Biden to take advantage of his absolute immunity, which he has been thankfully granted by Trump's Supreme Court justices, to do whatever, air quotes, official acts he needs to do in order to prevent Donald Trump from becoming president. Again, suggesting to kill Trump. Bradley Moss says, the Supreme Court just gave Biden unequivocal immunity to order the military to take action against Trump today, right now. Max Kennedy says he has a kind of a tweaked version of this New York Times headline, and it reads, to serve his country, President Biden should drone strike Donald Trump. Then the caption is, in full compliance with the Supreme Court's ruling. And there's another one that Harry Sisson, yeah, here it is, Democrat influencer Harry Sisson, whom the Biden campaign recruited to promote old Joe on TikTok, posted on X. According to the Supreme Court, Biden could now send in SEAL Team 6 to take all of them out. He could send in the military to take out Trump. He has immunity for official acts now. Now, I'm reading this, so bear with me here. It says, Sisson has since claimed that he was not actually calling for violence, pointing to Judge Sotomayor's dissent, where she falsely asserted that the court had given Trump or any other president immunity from responsibility, even if he assassinated a political rival. What Sisson did not explain is how urging his boss, Joe Biden, to assassinate Trump is merely a reference to Sotomayor's claim that a president might attempt an assassination with impunity. In any case, such rhetoric from a Biden campaign surrogate is concerning, to say the least. Let's take a call here on the Mazda Jackson phone line. Hey, you're on there.
What's up, Clay?
Hey, brother.
What up? All right.
You got 2 minutes, brother. Yeah, I got you. You got 2 minutes.
Yeah, it all makes sense now, man.
100%.
They did all this to Donald Trump so they could establish the immunity. So Joe Biden, who is actually guilty of all of the things that he claims Trump did, now has immunity for all of the stuff that he did in office.
That's it. But that's exactly what. This isn't going to help Trump at all. I mean, look, maybe it will, but just like me and what's his name, Matthew, we're talking earlier. Matthew Bishop, they're still going to move forward, all gas, no brakes, with their cases against Trump. This isn't going to stop anything, and they're going to use this to give Biden complete and total immunity.
And Biden's the real traitor. I mean, an actual traitor to the United States.
Yep, 100%.
I'm with you, man. It's time. You know,
buckle up. I'm not trying to be hyperbolic. I mean, I don't know how people can look at this and think anything other. Look at what they've done to our border. They've allowed the enemy to come within. We are not living in sane times. What you know historically, how you think this is going to play out, ain't how this plays out. Whatever you think the worst is, ratchet it up to about 10 more. Thank you, bro.
That's exactly right. Unfortunately, it's coming.
Oh, yeah.
And people don't believe it. You know, like Sean Yerkeran saying, I don't believe it's the gate. Man, how can you not? How can you not do a little bit of research and find out how real all of this is?
Yeah, it's very real, man. And they tell you again. One thing I've learned, brother, is when the left tells you that they're crazy, listen to them. When these transgender people write their manifestos about wanting to go and do mass shootings, listen to them. The left backs, they walk it like they talk it. And whether I agree with what they're saying or not is a moot point. I'm just saying, when they tell you they're going to do something, the left damn well does it. The right doesn't. And it's time we have to start doing it.
Yeah, I think they're driving us together to do this. But here's the problem with that is you have all these Tate Reeves Republicans that are all pretty much Democrats, and they're going to say, oh, no, we got to do whatever the Democrats say. That's what all the Michael Guest fans and all of the Wicker fans that keep voting them into office. I don't understand how they're going to keep the Democrats in office for as long as they can. For some reason, I don't get it.
Yeah, well, I mean, Michael Guest keeps trying to get Republicans kicked out of the House. Doesn't make any sense to me. And next time I see him, I'm going to ask him about it. All right, brother, I got to take my last break, man.
He's scum, dude. He's scum. Tell him I said he's scum when you see him.
Will do, brother. Take care.
I can't stand him.
I'll holler at you. I got to go.
All right, Captain.
All right, brother. Great call, as always. Let's land the plane for the day. We'll be right back on the Clay Edwards Show. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. We got about a minute or so here to land the plane for the day. I want to congratulate or give props or give them the flowers, however you want to say it, to a couple of deputies. I'm not sure whose names, who to thank or who to mention here. I wish I knew their names. Maybe we'll find it out. A couple of Rankin County deputies yesterday saved a truck driver's life right there on I-20 just east of Brandon. Big 18-wheeler lost control, ran out the road, flipped a couple times, and just like out of a Hollywood movie, seconds before the cab went boom, two deputies saved the truck driver's life, dragging him out of the truck and into safety. He's in the hospital recovering with some minor injuries, and they went on to continue doing what they do. Kudos to Rankin County Sheriff's Department. I will see you guys tomorrow. Chip Matthews up next.